Have you ever wanted to be more confident, like seeing those women who seem like they just have the confidence, they have that they have that X factor? If you're watching this, I want to help you to identify the 3 ways that you can be more confident. My name is Cain-Jones. You can call me Coach Cherie. I'm a professional speaker and coach, and for over a decade, I have been helping women to think, speak, and act confidently in their relationships all the way to the stage. Now, I've noticed that there are 3 lessons that I've learned when it came to building confidence. And I did this before I felt it. Now, the first way that you can build that confidence is, it's going to sound counterintuitive, but you've got to learn how to name your emotions. That's right, name your emotions. Now, there's this mindset that says, I'm fine, I got it. And many of us don't realize that we are unconsciously processing emotions, but we're not really dealing with our emotions. You know, there's this principle, and this is in life, in medicine, and it says it's very difficult to correct what you don't identify. You know, for years, I have avoided feelings of sadness and grief like it was a plague. Like, have you ever felt that? Like, you are going to do everything but feel sad. You don't want to cry. You don't have time for that. I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, and wrote the story. But here's what I recognized. You know, when I was a little girl, and probably when you were a little baby too, you cried. And then when you were a baby, guess what? You cried. And then as a teenager, oh my goodness, we cried. It's funny how our emotions didn't destroy us, but somehow we've made a story that grief and sadness is somehow going to destroy us. It's very hard to manage and correct what you refuse to face. You know, that story that you have about sadness or feeling it, I don't want to feel it, it's too painful. It'll keep you trapped more than the emotion ever would. You are in control of your emotions. I'm going to talk about that in number 3, so you want to make sure that you hang with me. You know, confidence is done in the things that we face, and a lot of times we have to face ourselves. So that's number 1. Now, number 2, once you understand, and I got my notes right here, number 2, if you name your emotions, now you got to put your emotions in the proper place. So there is this mindset that once people start naming their emotions, and a really great book that I read that's going to help you to name your emotions is Atlas of Emotions by Brené Brown. It'll change your life. But there's this mindset, okay, I've got all these emotions, they must be true. Listen, your emotions, they are a great diagnostic, but they are not a steering wheel. So if you've ever driven your car and you've ever had the check engine light come on or the check oil light, you know, that is a diagnostic for you, but it's not supposed to steer you. What I mean is sometimes we have emotions and they are not reflecting the accurate truth. I remember one time we had something go on with one of our cars and the check engine light came on. So, you know, if the check engine light comes on, you completely kind of have a little freak out. And we took the car to the shop, and you know what was going on? It was one of the little gauges. It was misfiring. So sometimes our emotions are just firing that something is wrong, but it doesn't mean that they take the steering wheel. Have you ever felt like on the road, like have you ever gotten angry and you have the spirit of slap just come over you when you're driving? We've all had that happen. But guess what? You can't just go around slapping people. You cannot allow your emotions to control you. You have to control you. You have to learn to be CEO of your emotions, your heart, your thoughts, and your mind. Emotions are information. They are not instruction. So here's the last way you can really begin to be confident. This is something that I did. You've got to learn how to change your emotions by changing your thoughts. Now there's this mindset that's like, I feel it, I can't change my emotions. And I get it, I'm with you. Emotions are really hard to change. When you're angry, it's hard to just change that anger, to channel the anger into something else. So instead of fighting the emotion, why don't we go towards the element that causes the emotions? And that's your thoughts. A thought is simply a thought. Like, I'm not good enough, I don't belong, no one will ever want me. Those are all thoughts. But the best thing about thoughts are that thoughts can be changed. You don't have to roll around with the same thoughts because they cause an emotional state that sometimes can cause you to feel paralyzed. So instead of this mindset, I can't control my emotions, why don't we switch it to I can now control my thoughts? Here's the principle. This is from Socrates. He says you need to know yourself. He's one of the greats. So I love quoting that because as you know yourself, you can control yourself. And when you can control yourself, you can control the thoughts that you think. Sometimes we are thinking thoughts in the wrong way. It's because we have not been taught how to think thoughts in the right way. So let me give you a framework that I used to help me to know myself, to be CEO over myself, to control myself, and it helped me to advocate for myself. And as I knew this, it began to help me to have better emotional regulation. When it comes to controlling your emotions or redirecting them, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to identify that situation that causes you to feel like you're out of control. Maybe it's when your house is a mess. Maybe it's when the kids are a mess. Maybe it's when your purse is a mess. But whatever it is, there is a situation. Maybe it's at work. Maybe it's when Susie, who knows it all, comes and talks to you. So we want to identify the situation. Then we've got to identify the trigger. Because some situations trigger us more than others. But what I mean is what is the physical trigger that happens to you? I want you to become a scientist with curiosity of knowing how you operate. So your trigger could be, man, my heart rate goes up. It could be I begin to be flooded with multiple thoughts. It could be that, man, like I start to clench my hands. I start to clench my jaw. That situation, you know what it does? It gives, it starts to trigger you. The more you know your triggers, the more you can control your thoughts. So after you identify what the trigger is, you want to identify the emotion. What is the emotion? It's I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I feel disrespected, I'm pissed. That's why I said you want to go back to what I said. Number one, you have to be able to name them before you can tame them. You've got to name them before you tame them. And then we're going to go down to, after you identify that emotion, now you've got to identify that thought. That's why I said your thoughts create your emotions. Your thoughts create the emotion. So when you're disrespected, you may feel like, well, you may have this thought that, okay, I'm not good enough. I feel disrespected. I don't like being treated like this. I don't deserve to be treated like this. And as you identify that thought, you can change that thought. Now, let me give you an example of how this looked in my own life. I used to have a horrible time with road rage. Any of you road ragers out here in 2026, just let me know down below in the comments. And I remember this one time I was driving and I don't know what I was going to do, but this guy made me really angry on the road. And all of a sudden, before I knew it, I told him, get out the car. Like, get out the car. What were we going to do? I was going to fight a grown man? What was the situation? Road rage. He cut me off. What was the trigger? My heart rate started to race. My jaw started to clench. My fist went into a ball. What is the emotion? The emotion was I'm angry. I'm pissed. I feel disrespected. But what was my thought? My thought was, I am going to control you instead of you thinking you can control me. What a terrible thought that I'm now going to control somebody else because they're driving down the street. So as I have begun this great work of naming my emotions, dealing with my emotions, changing my emotions, it had allowed me to become a more confident person, because instead of me being led by my thoughts, I become CEO of my thoughts. I want you to treat your thoughts. Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to treat your mind like you are the CEO. Or let me say it like this: you are the CEO of your mind. Your thoughts are just running operations. And the more you can direct your thoughts, the less you will be controlled by your thoughts. And if that's you and you're like, Coach Shuri, I want to go deeper, I want to encourage you. Follow me on Instagram at The Real Coach Shuri. DM me. I have a masterclass. I have trainings and resources to help you. I'll make sure to get those resources to you. And if you want to work with me one-on-one or enter into my school, I have a few cohorts where I help women to think, speak, and act confidently in their relationships all the way to the stage. So remember what I said. If you want to learn how to build that confidence, name those emotions. Number 2, you've got to begin to correct those emotions. And number 3, stop trying to change the emotions and change the thoughts. So it's lights off me. It's lights back on you. It's your turn now. It's your turn now. Lights, camera, action, and continue to think and act more confidently. I'll see you next time.